Hi there everybody, it's Rarity here from inkybutterfly.com. Thank you so much for joining me again today for another card making video. We're featuring the Changing Leaves stamp set today, and I'm going to do a watercolour background today. Haven't done one of these for a while, so done all of that in lovely shades of green and then done some gold heat embossing all over that. Okay, so this is a new set. It comes with some dies and a 3D embossing folder, so it's one of these hybrid embossing folders. Let me just grab the embossing folder, which I have put away. Okay, so this is the embossing folder that it comes with. So you've got those 3 large leaves that are featured in the stamp set, and the dies. You've got the labels and that, but you've also got another sheet in there which coordinates with that to cut out those images, and it's one single die. Okay, so we that looks like it lines up about there. It'll fit inside and you can cut and emboss your leaves all at the same time, or you can just emboss in background. You can just die cut and mix and match these as you want. Okay, the stamps themselves are individual stamps, they're not joined together. And as you can see, we've also got this image here, which looks a lot like the one in the die, but not the same, I don't think. But you know, we've got that kind of look about it to make really lovely textural background. We can die cut with it and everything. So there'll be more to come with this set, I'm sure. But I wanted to just bring in something different. I haven't done it for a while with the watercolouring. Okay, so just to create something fun. Sorry if I've just reached across there, I just wanted to get that put away because I like to try and keep things as tidy as possible as I go along, otherwise I spend a lot of time tidying up and I don't want to do that. Just do it as I go along. Okay, so as you can see, we're just featuring that one leaf today. Nice interesting shape, and it's small enough to create a nice background. We could swap it out for this one. In fact, shall we swap it out for that one? Shall we do it? Ooh, it's quite a bigger. It's a bigger image, but let's do it. Let's get. Will this fit on a D block? Yay, it will. Okay, let's mix it up. I was just going to change the colours on this one, but use the same stamp. But let's go with this. I don't really want to use an E block. So long as it mostly fits on. If the stem comes off a little bit, I'm not going to worry too much. Okay, that'll do. It's a tight squeeze on a D block. Now, I've not used this stamp set. This stamp in this set, so I'm just going to wipe that over with my hands, and I'm also going to just use a white rubber and just gently rub over that, and that gets that manufacturing sticky layer off there. And the other thing I'm going to do is just bring out my stamping scrub and give that a bit of a wipe over before I start using it. So this is the wet side. No, it isn't. It's the sunshine side. It's the dry side. This is the wet side. Okay. So there's a little raindrops in there, which raindrops in there, indicating this is the bit to put your stamping spray on. Stamping mist, it's called actually. I only put a little bit on at a time. It lasts ages. That's an original bottle. That's still got green packaging on it. I've had that ages. Okay, because I tend to use the chamois for everyday bits and pieces, but for conditioning stamps and getting really stubborn stuff off, this is the best way to do it. So wet stamping mist on that side, and then on this side we're going to dry it off. Okay, and that will be ready to go. There we go. It's really nice, and that will take the ink beautifully now. So if you find that your ink is like bubbling on the surface, like it's trying to repel the ink, give it a wipe. Wipe over, rough it up either with your fingertips or something like that, give it a clean, and it will be good to go. Okay, so the main focus is going to be on making this background. It's not terribly difficult, but you know, it's something to show you that's different. And I'm going to use my great big F block to help me keep my surface clean, though it doesn't help keep your fingers clean, but it's fine. Okay, so the Fluid 100 cardstock that we stock in the Stampin' Up catalogue, you get, I don't know how many sheets you get. How many sheets do you get? It'll say on here somewhere. 10 sheets are in the pack, and they are 5 by 7 inches. And I've just cut that in half, so this is 3.5 by 5. Okay, and I'm just going to use a spritzer bottle to just put a little bit of water on there. It's not saturated, it's just to get it a little bit on the wet side. I'm going to need a paper towel, and I'm going to, well, one of my lint-free cloth things, that is. And I'm just going to use a bit of tissue here just to make sure that all the green ink's out of that brush. So this brush is just a paintbrush that I've had lying about, that I use for this kind of stuff. So I just want to make sure that that's clean enough. Oops, daisy. So what I did with this was I spritzed this block, and then once I got the cardstock wet, it kind of stuck to this block, which was kind of cool. If you've got your glass mat, perfect. Okay, so I'm basically just brushing over a thin layer of the water on there, but I don't want it sopping wet. So I'm just going to take away some of the excess around the edge there. Okay, and that's going to help. Right, the other tool that we're going to use are some acrylic blocks. So if you've got a collection of these, that's all the better. I'm going to get out 3 C blocks, and I'm going to change my colour palette up and use sort of these greeny blue colours. So we're going to use Coastal Cabana, Lost Lagoon and Pretty Peacock to create our background. So we're going to start with the Coastal Cabana. So this is kind of a bright colour, and I'm going to just pop my my block on there, and I am going to just wipe it on here. So what I'm going to do, so it's wet enough to sort of start moving the ink around. You can decide how far down or up you want to do it. There's not so much water on there that I'm worried about putting that back into the ink pad, but that is how I'm going to get my first layer of colour onto here. Okay, it's not perfect, I just want something in there as a background. Okay, so what I'm going to do though is keep that block with that ink pad rather than keep wiping down things and whatever. So what I'm going to do, got the same thing with the Lost Lagoon, but I'm only going to do half the block. And I'm going to come in from the sides, twizzle around the block, the base block here, to help move that ink around where you want it. Okay, it's cool, right? And it's kind of fun just moving that ink around enough to give some depth. Okay, and remember, you know, watercolour is supposed to be a little bit on the haphazard side, right? And now we're going to do the Pretty Peacock, and again I'm just going to do, I don't know, what was that, about a third of the block. We can always add more, right, but you just don't want to overdo it and feel like it was too dark. Okay, although around the edges you probably want a little bit of darkness. I want some depth to some of this. Now this isn't making as much contact as the other bit because I don't think it's as wet. So with that damp brush you can kind of help move things around if you want things to sort of spread out a bit or blend a bit. You can use a damp brush to do that. Okay, and because we're not applying loads of extra water, this is sort of going to start drying reasonably quickly as well. So again, if you want to intensify some of these portions, we can. I might leave this top corner kind of light. Okay, and equally, if you feel like you want to come back in with any of the other colours, you can. Okay, so that's what we can do, you see. And we're not going to be so now that we've got the darker colours on here, I probably am going to think about possibly just wiping off the block in between times, just so that I don't carry over any of that pretty peacock into the stamp pad accidentally. Okay, so I'll probably do. And then might just come in again with a little bit of the Coastal Cabana to brighten it back up again. Okay, and again just wiping that off just so I don't carry over any of that ink. Okay, and I'm going to leave that splotchy, I think. Oh, oops, migrated up a little bit. I hope you saw that anyway. So, isn't that fun and quick and easy? Okay, but of course it's really wet. Okay, the acrylic blocks, you want to get the worst of the ink off on a paper towel or a tissue or something, but you will want to I'm going to put that to one side just for a second, but you will want to use a little bit of that stamping mist to make sure that they are nice and clean. People do put their blocks to the dishwasher, I have heard, so that's another thing as well. So if you're lucky enough to have one, you can do that. I do not, so I do this, and occasionally I will chuck them in the sink and give them a wash, but not very often. They'd have to get really mucky for me to resort to that, really. So right, a bit of stamp cleaner on that. They are good to go. They're beautiful and ready to go again for another project. Okay, so while we've got that, we can just mop up a little bit of this, start getting that to dry, and of course it's going to have to be absolutely dry, ready for the next stage of the project. So I'm going to leave you there and give this a bit of a heat through with the heat gun and make sure it's absolutely dry before we move on to the next step. So I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, the panel's all nice and dry now, and we're going to do our stamping and heat embossing over the top. So I've added, dusted it over with an anti-static bag just to make sure that we have caught all of that. Make sure it's all completely dry. We'll be using our Versamark ink pad. This is a clear sticky ink for well, it's a watermark stamp pad, but it's good for embossing, okay, because it's slow drying and it clings, the powder will cling onto it. Okay, I've got the embossing editions kit, so I've got the tidy tray and the little brush and tweezers there ready to go as well. Okay, so I'm trying to debate actually what colour to do the embossing in. Actually, I was thinking I might do silver, but I'm now thinking that copper might be good, because this kind of looks like a bit of a verdigris kind of look to it. So you know what, yeah, comments below. So I don't know, I think I might go copper. Equally, you know, could easily go white or something like that as well, or just go with the gold again. But I just feel like I'd like to do something different to the source card that we're doing. So I'm just pressing quite firmly on this. The watercolour paper is thicker and has a bit of a texture to it, so you want to press nice and firmly to make sure we get a nice impression. and of course it's harder to see where the stamping is as well, so don't really want to overlap them too much either, ideally. Okay, so some of this, I think I can tell straight away that some of these images aren't going to stamp as solidly as we might want them to, but let's just say it's all part of the effect, shall we? Let's go there for this one. Nice and firm, so I'm keeping it flat but just pressing, okay? Pressing real firm. Okay. Okay, let's just leave that to one side just for a second. Oh, let's go with the copper. Don't know, just feels like the right thing to do. Okay, let's chuck some of that on and see where we're at, because I think we need some at the bottom corner, which I think we do, and we have overlapped it a bit, but I'm not going to worry about it. It's difficult to see where all that where those images are going to be, but before we heat set it we can always pop some more in. So let's get that inked up and pop in some more across the bottom here. Okay, which will probably be enough. So I'm just chucking that over the top into the tidy tray. Okay, and we do have that crisscross, but you know what, that might end up being covered up depending on how we decide to put the sentiment on. Okay, you could go around the edge and fill in a little bit if you wanted to as well, but I think I'll leave it there. So let's cover that up before that gets into a mess. Stamp to one side, ready to clean off. With the Versamark ink I would recommend using your scrub to make sure you get all that clear sticky ink off, and then this tray helps you get the powder all back into the pot and put away. Okay, and we can use our tweezers to make sure we've got a good grip on this and not burn our fingers. Okay, so let's pop that to one side. We'll bring in the heat tool now. So this is going to make a bit of a racket, but hopefully you'll be able to see it all turn nice and glossy. So let's get started. Am I zoomed in enough? Let's do that. Is that better? Yeah. Right, ready. Okay, that's beautiful. Okay, so you don't want to touch that embossing powder. It's obviously like a plasticky, molten plastic kind of thing, so it will stick to your fingers and burn you. Okay, but once it's cooled down just a little smudgy bit, you may want to just pop that under your nice large acrylic block while that's still just slightly warm, and it will just help keep that flat. We'll just pop that to one side for a sec, because the other thing we need to do is emboss our sentiment. So tied it away to it prematurely. Okay, more little bits of powder. The little thank you sentiment is what we need on here. So we'll just get that inked up. I'm going to pop that towards the left there, and then we can trim it down as required. Oops. And then, where did it go? Copper, 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 there it is. And in exactly the same way, we can just get all this. Oops. Helps if the funnel is over the pot when you do your tapping. Okay. And we can use those little tweezers again, which are really, really great. Stop you burning your fingers. There we go. Nice little sentiment there. Oh, see if we can get that camera to focus. Okay, there we go. Right, so let's just get that swept away. What's really good for mopping up embossing powder, I keep saying that, don't I? Embossing powder are one of those like duster cloth things that pick up, you know, they've got like static properties to them. Where's my little cloth? There it is. I'll just use one of those just to get the rest of that off and clean it up properly in a bit. But generally speaking, your additions thing will keep it nice and contained. Okay, so we've got all that. Can pop that away. I've also got a little tiny piece of Coastal Cabana cardstock here as well that we can cut into to make our banner. Okay, so I did that using a die from the Stylish Shapes, but you don't have to use a die. You can just cut it straight or whatever you want. So I'm just going to show you what I did. So I'm going to grab the Stylish Shapes and I'm going to use these sort of fatter ones because I don't want the edge to cut. I just want to put in that banner end on there. Okay, so I'm just going to tack that over the end of that one, and I'm going to use the little I'm going to use this one, which is going to be wider than the strip that I'm using of Coastal Cabana, and we'll just pop that into place there because I just want those little end pieces to come off. So we'll just run that quickly through the I just want those ends done, so you only need to push it through so that those ends get cut. So that's done that one. Okay, just enough to get just that little bit of stitching on the top of that. Okay, and just enough on this one to get the stitching on the end of this one. Okay, so let's just pull this apart. So just tidy enough as I go. Right, and then we can just pop some adhesive onto the back of that. So I like to use my stamping seal because it's quick and easy and generally mess free, and just layer that together on the back there. Just enough to peek through Okay, and then we can just use the trimmer just to square that off. Don't want too much excess, so I think I did it to 1/2 inch to the U was about right. And it will have cut through those, and if it doesn't, just line it up again. Oh, let's use the cutting blade, not the score blade, and that works even better. Oh, I don't think I got close enough with that, so I'm just going to use my scissors here just to get that a bit closer. There we go. Okay, so that's going to be our sentiment piece there. Okay, but we're going to layer this first onto our Coastal Cabana layer. Okay, so I've already pre-cut this. Looking at the panel now that it's finished, probably a different colour might have looked a little bit better, but the premise was that what I did on the original card was I used the lightest ink colour in my trio to make the matte. So the combo that I used for the original sample was soft sea foam, granny apple green and garden green. So garden green is the darkest colour, which I've used the card base. For this one I'm going to be using the Pretty Peacock as the darkest colour. Okay, a little bit of glue has just come out at the top there, so I'll just wipe that away. Okay, and I used the wet glue there because the watercolour cardstock has, like I say, a texture to it, and that would have, could have pulled up if I had have used the tape runner. So I opted to use that instead, and then we'll just layer this onto, oh blimey, I forgot that this isn't an even border. It's slightly, because I cut the watercolour paper exactly in half, the proportions are slightly off, which means you get a bigger or deeper top and bottom border compared to the ones that run from side to side. Okay, now it's layered together, that's brought that Coastal Cabana layer down a little bit. Okay, and then all we need to do is attach this to the card base, and again I think I'll use a bit of wet glue for that, just because we're running across that embossing and stuff. So we'll pop that in. I probably should have cut it the other way so it would cover up that blemish that we've got there. Let's go with about there, and I'm deliberately intersecting over that Coastal Cabana layer there, just like I did on the sample card. Okay, so what I didn't do was add any bling to these. So we've got our metallic sequins that we can use, because that would fit in quite nicely with these, because we have some gold ones and we've got some copper ones, so let's go with those. Okay, and we'll need our pokey tool. So these will be real nice on here, just to tie everything together. I'll put a couple ones on here. I'll go this way with these ones. I've got a bit more open space on this one, just because of that image that we use. So, you know, play around with this. It doesn't have to be leaves, it doesn't have to be these colours, it can be whatever you like. I thought 3 colours worked together quite well, so that you had all those different tones within it all. Okay, and then obviously I did the gold on this one, I've done the copper on this one. Okay, but you know, there's loads of options now. When we get into the autumn time, you know, we're going to be able to do some really cool backgrounds with our oranges and yellows as well to get ready for autumn. Right, I hope you've enjoyed that. Thanks ever so much for joining me for a bit of a longer video. I hope it's given you some ideas. Stay safe, take care, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.